Welcome to Gobi's Valley, land of sand, Egyptian tombs, and more sand. It takes its name from the real-life Gobi Desert, located in Asia. Huh. Man, this level is a real strange case. I mean, it's okay, it's well put together, but nothing all too special. It's a desert level that clearly takes most of its inspiration from Shifting Sandland from Super Mario 64. Yet, despite that, it does end up being weirdly innovative, all things considered. Let's take a look at the layout. It's a step in a different direction compared to standard Banjo Kazooie fare. Rather than run around and explore all willy-nilly to get your jiggies, there's now some serious structure involved. This level consists of a few pyramids in a small sandy lot, each requiring some rudimentary puzzle solving to gain access and take on a jiggy challenge. This tomb rating means that the overworld exploration is very free-form, while the little dungeons inside the little pyramids are extremely structured. Sound a bit familiar? Well, that's because it's the same type of setup that Super Mario Odyssey uses, oddly enough. Yes, that ancient valley was ahead of its time. By shoving its jiggies in independent little rooms, it gives the designers way more freedom to lay out the level as they please, and make the jiggy challenges a lot more focused. Sure, you see this a bit in the earlier levels of Banjo Kazooie, but here is the primary design practice. Mario Odyssey uses a modernization of this tactic, with its core platforming challenges locked up in little side rooms, leaving you free to explore at your leisure. While it's a good idea in theory, in Gobi's Valley it can also kind of work to the level's detriment in certain situations. You have access to a flight pad here, but it's fairly useless outside of a few aerial puzzles, as the level is fairly easy to traverse due to its small size and lack of vertical elements. Superheated sand covers most of the level, but it's generally not all that big of a deal to stay out of. It's actually kind of funny how often dangerous sand was a thing in this generation of platforming games. From Mario to Sonic Adventure, sand was generally something you really did not want to touch, often being more deadly than lava, hilariously enough. Thankfully, Gobi's Valley is a bit more lenient, making the sand only harm you instead of an instant kill. Layout aside, here you are also blessed with the final ability in this game, the Turbo Trainers. These let you go fast when you pick them up for a little bit. Yeah, not exactly the most exciting final upgrade, but it's put to good use in some time challenges. A good one being a situation where you have to hit a switch then blitz your way up a pyramid before the door slams shut. Also, you can use it to swipe a jiggy from Grabba, the giant mummy hand, before he hides it from you. In what is an appreciated, though potentially unintentional bit of flexibility, you can instead opt to snatch it up via flying, though it is a bit tricky to pull off. Not every opponent will be as averse to conflict, however. This world ends up having a lot of combat due to the smaller spaces and an aggressive enemy lineup. You're introduced to these mummies called Mums, whatever that means. They're basically a 3D interpretation of dry bones from the Mario series, constantly springing back to life unless you hit them with a Wonder Wing. They're used pretty cleverly, applying pressure in tight spots or in small puzzle rooms. In fact, they work so effectively it makes you wonder why real dry bones didn't appear in 3D Mario games till Super Mario Galaxy. There's also flying beetles, which are just reskins of the dragonfly enemy, and more giant mummy hands that are surprisingly durable and will try to swat you like a fly. What's stand out about Gobi's Valley is there isn't that much health to be had here, meaning your cause of death will most likely be due to attrition. Or the game's mini-boss, oddly enough. Well, okay, it's technically a mini-boss. King Sandy Butt casts a curse of instant death on you if you can't get through his maze quick enough. This is actually the most exciting part of the level, even if the maze is a bit on the simple side. It's just the idea you're about to lose your entire note score if you screw up is enough to get you on the edge of your seat. Unfortunately, most of the world doesn't reach this level of excitement. You will be spending most of your time waiting. Waiting for magic carpets, waiting on snakes, waiting on a puzzle to reset because you clearly don't have enough time. It all ends up being a bit on the slow side. Though, that doesn't necessarily have to mean it's a bad thing. A change of pace can be a good thing to mix things up for the player. Though, at the end of the day, Gobi's Valley is actually a bit on the empty side when it comes to content. While it all seems a bit sparse, the sands actually hold the key to one of the biggest mysteries of this game. When you annoy Gobi the camel enough, he leaves, stating he's heading off to the game's Fire World. Thing is, there is no Fire World, but there was one. Mount Fire Eyes was the name of this forgotten level, and it's left quite a legacy. Cancelled early on in development, fans of the series had long speculated where and what this place was, and Gobi Valley held all the clues. To further the conspiracies, the painting for this world was located in a massive, fiery chamber that doesn't even remotely resemble Gobi's Valley, leading many to speculate that it was actually used for Mount Fire Eyes initially instead. The commonly accepted theory at the time was that old Mount Fire Eyes was turned into the Ice and Fire World, Hellfire Peaks in Banjo Tooie, as Gobi the Camel does eventually arrive there in the second game. But, was that really the case? While the existence of it was confirmed to be planned for Banjo Kazooie, no definitive proof of this level could be found. People leaped at every scrap of beta footage, saying that clearly this must be footage of Mount Fire Eyes, which it, of course, never was. Thankfully though, unlike many of Banjo Kazooie's mysteries, the design docs for Mount Fire Eyes did actually get released. And, you know what? It literally just was Hellfire Peaks. The Colosseum, the lava, even the dragon do eventually make an appearance in Banjo Tooie. Now ain't that all exciting? I think it's exciting, and it kind of overshadows Gobi's Valley a bit, doesn't it? That's sort of the big problem with this world. It's really hard to not compare and contrast it to every other desert level out there. Ironically, its biggest competition came from the company that made it in the first place. Donkey Kong 64 has a level known as Angry Aztec, which is effectively the exact same thing, only better in pretty much every conceivable way. Seriously, it's like a carbon copy with challenges locked up in tombs and a llama instead of a camel. Now, criticism of Donkey Kong 64's horrible backtracking aside, Angry Aztec looks significantly better than Gobi's Valley, it sounds better than Gobi's Valley, and has a lot more content overall, with much of it being fully fleshed out. It's almost as if Rare knew Gobi's Valley could have been so much more and tried to take another stab at that kind of content. Even going back in time, it had rough competition. Shifting Sandland in Super Mario 64 was an undeniably solid level, with lots of unique concepts and interesting hazards and decision-making. While the course is more linear than Gobi's Valley, the player is given many options as far as how they traverse. Again, this level is such a mixed bag. While its level structure was ahead of its time, it lacks content in a lot of areas. The main area is fairly small and a bit samey. You basically have a sphinx and 4 identical pyramids sitting around in a lot, lacking a lot of variety you normally see in Banjo Kazooie levels. In addition to that, it isn't really unique enough to stand out from the Super Mario 64 level it references, and Rare would go on to make a much better desert level game in their next collectathon, Donkey Kong 64. I really don't want to call Gobi's Valley a bad level. I mean, its quality is up to par, the music is good, the animations are fun, and the texture work is clean. It just struggles to bring a whole lot of new stuff to the table, and the worlds before and after it are just so damn solid in comparison. Though, then again, I will admit, perhaps there is a bit of personal bias at play. And you know what? That's all I got on Gobi's Valley. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I thought it was surprising. I thought I'd like Gobi's Valley more going back to it, but, you know, it just wasn't that much there. Until next time, see ya!